Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book roundup, and we've got actually a pretty light roundup this week. In fact, this is going to be the one video for it. Got 3 books, one of which is actually a leftover from last week. I wasn't aware it had come out, so excuse me. And in fact, we'll start with that one. Conan Serpent War, number 2. So where we left off, Dark Agnes had ended up in the Hyborian Age alongside Conan, after both fought a minion of Set. And Moon Knight had ended up in 1500s England alongside Solomon Kane. So the issue begins in Stygia, the village of Tenzinar in the Hyborian Age. A young priestess is going about her daily duties, and she prays to Set, and Set speaks to her. And, so she's been loyal and fervent, focused and pure, but there's now a task she has to perform. Now, there's a bracelet that's imbued with a moment of Set's grace, and there's some warriors that's set up on about to take it. So the time has come to, repay the debt of all the times I've blessed your village. So the priest's like, okay, yeah, we'll do this. And then back to the Carpash Mountains in the Hyborian, also in the Hyborian Age, where Conan and Dark Agnes met. The two are kneeling over the mask, and introductions are made. And in 1584 England, Solomon Kane and Moon Knight introduce one another. However, now both the mask and the corpse that got Solomon Kane's attention are speaking to their to the warriors near them, calling to them from beyond time and beyond life itself. Explaining that Set has wrapped the world in his coils. When the serpent extends its reach, poisoning the minds and souls of the weak and burning the hearts and bodies of the strong. Throughout the ages it bites. Across reality it feeds. Left unanswered, the snake will consume all. And it turned out to be none other than James Allison, the old man from Texas who died in the first issue. And he explains that he's lived many lives and seen more than any mortal man can fathom, and that the 4 of them have been gathered to battle the threat and purge from the world, along with him. Explaining that they are the blade and brawn, and he has sight beyond. Solomon Kane and Moon Knight are kind of just like, yeah, I guess. And Conan and Dark Agnes approach the same. And Allison goes on to explain what will happen to all of them if they fail. The faith that Solomon Kane cherishes set aflame. The mind that Moon Knight shepherds, fragmented beyond repair. The freedom Dark Agnes fought for, crushed underfoot. The nightmares that Conan has glimpsed, conquering his soul in the land that he walks upon. And Mass goes on to explain they can stop it. So they continue on their paths. Conan and Dark Agnes have to make their way through the desert, while Solomon Kane and Moon Knight make their way through Northumberland. In the desert of the Hyborian Age, A massive serpent erupts from under the sand and eats Dark Agnes's horse. However, then Agnes and Conan, oh no, yeah, Conan and Agnes destroy the serpent, and they discover Set's aventurine stone. James Allison instructs Conan to feed the stone to flame under the light of the moon, while he does the rest. And presumably that night, Conan does so, and this will basically informing Moon Knight and Solomon Kane that one, they're not the only ones working with him, and two, some progress has been made. However, the friend that the friend of Kane's that Kane and Moon Knight are waiting upon arrives, and well, let's just say his allegiance has switched. And Moon Knight boards the guy's ship, beats up the crew, and then blows up the ship itself with its own cannon. However, one of the crew says to Moon Knight that the worm has your soul. And in Cross Plains, Texas, 1936, Allison is trying to think where he's heard that name before. However, something tells him to focus on the past, as there's nothing else but the snake, and that there is no worm. But that does not entirely seem to be the case. And that is where the issue ends. Next up, we have Marvel's Incoming. Incoming is a one-shot that's seemingly designed to basically set the stage for everything that occurs over the span of the next year in Marvel Comics. So we begin with the Masked Raider, a man in a trench coat, gun belt, and hat, as well as the Eternity Mask, which is woven from a piece of the living soul of the cosmos, stumbling upon a murder. Perhaps he's connected to someone, though the Master is not sure who. He gets the attention of Daredevil and Elektra, who are sparring on a rooftop. And he promptly informs them that he didn't do the killing, but he needs more eyes up on this than just his. And as he beat Elektra, Daredevil's kind of like, yeah, you beat her, I don't have to stand a chance. So Daredevil calls Jessica Jones, who gets a few pictures does some investigating the scene. The crime scene is clean, is insanely clean. But she discovers something on the back of all she discovers in the room is a picture of the victim. So she pulls it off the wall, looks to the back, discovers the word Two-Face, then a group of numbers, and a Hala star. Hala being the former homeworld of the Kree Empire. And so later that night she goes to visit Carol Danvers. Carol shows Jessica her Marvel cave. And they discuss everything. And Carol opts to bring in the Avengers. The computer in Avengers Mountain, made from the brain tissue of a fallen Celestial, mind you, is either incapable of deciphering the numbers or has declined to do so. Also, it seems that Namor is making further overtures towards the surface world. Basically saying, you got a chance. I'll give all of you a chance. Ask each and every fish in the sea for forgiveness, and then kiss their fins. The Avengers are like, yeah, no. And so, Black Panther suggests to Carol maybe, as both of them have been members of other teams in the past, perhaps she should also utilize the resources of those other teams. And so she visits Dr. Adam Brashear, the Blue Marvel, a former member of the Ultimates, who has created a group known as the Three X's, consisting of former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and currently leader of the Atlas Foundation, Jimmy Woo, and New Warriors leader, Night Thrasher. So they go over the murder scene, finding little, and they can't. They are also stumped as to the number and the importance of the star. But Night Thrasher does admit that. Okay, so there's star Holostar. Well, I know someone who might have some intro on that, and so he calls up Nova. Nova catches him up on what's happened. Namely the events of Annihilation Scourge, his death, and being resurrected by Annihilus. And Thrash, Night Thrasher does something. Hey, if you ever need me, you know where to find me. And at the Atlas Year bunker in Seoul, as this is apparently before the events of Agents of Atlas number 5, Jimmy Woo pops up looking for Amadeus Cho, asking him about the numbers. He also stops briefly to talk with Swordmaster, but hexadecimal isn't a code isn't a cipher he's familiar with. Wu continues on, talking with the rest of the agents of Atlas. Meanwhile, the Champion's Mobile Bunker, we catch up with Cho, who was talking with the other champions, and as he's been gone for a while, and Kamala Khan, as Ms. Marvel, is planning a movie night. However, a senator pops up, kind of beginning the talk, planting the seeds for a talk about superpowered teenagers. We then cut to a therapy session between, seemingly, Bruce Banner and Dr. Leonard Sampson. However, it turns out it's actually Joe Fixit, the Joe Fixit facet of the Hulk, operating Bruce's body. Fixit's not pleased with the current arrangement, and well, yeah, he's also not too fond of Sampson. When shortly after Las Vegas is brought up, we cut to Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider, King of Hell, arriving. And apparently there's a bunch of demons present trying to break Mephisto out of the Hotel Inferno. And Johnny promptly puts the hurting on them. Then informs Wong that he's come from Mephisto. Cut to the planet Fallow now, where there's the Valravan, the priests of Valravan, are about to make a sacrifice to their god. And while it might not be their god, a god does answer. Null, the King in Black. And back on Earth, Dylan Brock becomes aware of this. And he and his father Eddie are walking through the city. Or pass by a TV explaining of a Brooklyn Bridge disaster, which is being averted by which Miles Morales is trying to stop. However, he could use a little help. Luckily, Peter Parker's there too, and so the two work together and save the day. They also do some catching up. Perhaps, maybe it's been a while. It's been a while since Peter and Miles have seen each other, so maybe Miles is a little bit taller. Also, Miles is a big brother now, and he's also heard Senator Patrick's words. Peter tells him that it reminds him quite a bit of how J. Jonah Jameson used to be. Elsewhere, Teddy Altman, a.k.a. Doric the Eighth, a.k.a. Hulkling, is getting a call from an unknown party. And, he's leaving in an hour. However, just as he's getting ready to leave, his fiancée, Wiccan, returns, and the two of them talk a bit. Teddy explaining he needs to go into space to take care of something. And of course, Billy offers to go with, but it's like, hey, look, you've got your thing, I've got my thing, But so that they spend some time, they get to spend some quality time with one another before Hulkling leaves. We then cut to Bar Sinister, where Mr. Sinister is watching cable news, and we find out that Sinister managed to get cable for Krakoa by negotiating with Mojo. And it appears he's planning to do some work with some clones of himself. Clones and the DNA of other mutants. And there's one mutant whose DNA he would really love to have. Franklin Richards. Which takes us to our next scene at 40 Yancey Street. Franklin has come up with a list of Fantastic Four threats that he would be willing to use his powers with, as apparently anytime he uses any of it, it's gone, just like that. The threat being Ego the Living Planet, the Celestials, Galactus, and any of the Heralds. Doom, Kang, Annihilus. Not Blastar, not the Mole Man, not Atuma. Yes, the Super Skrull, big no to the Power Skrull, and he tells his dad to not even think about Diablo. However, then Sue, the Invisible Woman, calls. Apparently, Valeria has removed Herbie's inhibitor chip, turning Herbie into a rather foul-mouthed service droid. Then Human Torch calls, and as apparently the Thing is about to inform the world that the Human Torch is now wearing an alien soulmate bracelet, taking him off the market. And so Reed steps outside, only to come upon Blue Marvel. Reed and Dr. Bashir talk a bit. Reed figures this is just the thing he needs, as Herbie escapes. Over the Atlantic, the AI aboard a private jet goes haywire and tries to destroy the plane and its passengers. However, the new Iron Man, Arno Stark, rescues the pilot and passenger and runs into Blue Marvel. They talk. Blue Marvel explains he has a puzzle. And, well, Arno explains that he's not Tony Stark, but maybe he can help. And so Blue Marvel simply shows him the numbers and says, is this machine code? Yes or no? Arno explains that no, it's not, and he flies off. However, Stark explains that Stark explains to the people he's just now rescued, that it's actually a cipher hiding a simple 3-word message, and that he didn't tell Blue Marvel because Blue Marvel didn't ask. At the McCarthy Medical Center mortuary, Reed Richards meets with Jane Foster to oversee the autopsy of our murder victim. Uses his hand to make the shape of a Kree battle helmet, and explains that, and identifies the John Doe as none other than the Kree Beldan, who was assigned to monitor the last end of the Phoenix in the blue area of the moon, but fell into conflict with his opposite number, the Skrull warrior Raxor. Then later on, the Fantastic Four tricked Beldan and Raxor into working together. And so now he realizes that the Holostar was not in reference to Captain Marvel, but rather to Beldan. And so Reed figures it out. It breaks the code, saying, beware the trees. And so he tracks down Raxor and brings some help along. Turns out, however, that Raxor didn't kill Beldan. Rather, the two of them were working together. The message is then passed along. And Raxor says that they heard rumors, but the death of Beldan means the danger is real. It may already be too late. Empires will fall. And then a tree grows out of Raxor, causing him to explode. And Reed Richards makes note of the fact that Raxor said an asset had been activated. Well, now they need to find out who the asset is and why it was activated. And he's afraid that this is all very far from over. Finally, on the board of the Skrull Empire, turns out that the phone call Hulkling got earlier was from none other than the Super Skrull, Kulrit, who is also responsible for having killed Teddy's foster mother. It turns out that the remaining Skrulls and the remaining Kree are both behind Teddy. And so they're now banded together no longer as the Kree or the Skrull. They are the Alliance. They have one enemy. Earth. And the final war begins now. Or rather, in April. And that's where it ends. Now, there's a reason why I went with... I did that second, not third. The last book of the week is none other than Venom number 21, the beginning of the Venom Island story. So, where we last saw Eddie Brock, he had begun the process of reconnecting with his son as father and son, as opposed to older brother, younger brother. Well, so we start off With Eddie reminiscing a bit about what's been going on and how he is kind of afraid he may have sacrificed the universe to save his son, but he feels like it was the right thing to do. He also shaves off the beard he'd been growing. And it seems that the bonding didn't stick, and Dylan's still calling him Eddie. Also, note, Sleeper's still around. Anyway, there turns out that Eddie and Dylan are staying with Liz Allen and Norman Osborn Jr. And so, there's a car waiting, though, a limo, in fact, waiting for Eddie, taking him to Avengers Mountain. He meets with Cap, and they he maybe being Eddie kind of he's being asked to join the team, and apparently this takes place after Iron Man has returned, but I'm presuming this happens after Incoming, as Eddie still had his beard in Incoming. And then something odd happens. Whereas normally Eddie hears the voice of his other quite clearly, there's another in there with them. The Carnage symbiote. And so Eddie's kind of like, just let me think about this for a while. And She-Hulk and Carol are kind of enamored of him. So he gets home and he's got some pills he can take that will quiet down both voices. Takes some of them, tries to go to bed. Dreams of Null taking Dylan. Wakes up covered in blood because presumably the Carnage portion of the Carnage symbiote he absorbed cut "God is coming" into his back. Leaves a note for Dylan. Calls up Captain America. Gets it and manages to get a jet to take him to Isla de Huesos, the Island of Bones, which is where Eddie went after one of his early fights with Spider-Man. In fact, the story is told that he apparently kidnapped Spider-Man there and took him there to kill him. Spidey faked his death, and Venom just stayed there for a while. However, when Carnage popped up, Spidey and Human Torch showed up on the island and say, "Hey, we got a problem. We need you." Well, the Carnage symbiote is a bit more. There's more than just a voice in Eddie's head, but it's also in Eddie. So it blows out one of the engines, causes the plane to crash. And there's some argument between the two of them. And it ends with Eddie getting up from the wreckage and, basically threatening the Carnage symbiote. And that is where the issue ends. That's it for this week's roundup. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another installment of Building the Team, and we'll also be back next week on Wednesday, not Thursday, with another comic book roundup. Anyway, as always, this is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.